here's a good tip for all you downrigger guys out there. Fishing into downrigger, but you'll notice I don't have my rod just buried all the way to the water. Why is that? Well, I want to see what's going on. I have my downrigger release on about a 20-inch cable. So, you know, when I'm trolling, that cable comes up almost vertical. When a fish hits my bait or when I'm hooked up, I want to see what's going on. I want to see the action down below transmitted to my rod tip. If I have that thing, you know, absolutely buried, reeled down all the way tight, it deadens a lot of the action in the rod and I can't see what's going on down there. So if you like trolling out of a downrigger, I recommend, you know, that you don't crank it down all the way. You know, just crank it down till you got a little arc in the rod, but that's going to allow you to see what's right there. There's a fish. I got a fish on right there. I guess that was the right time to talk about that. Now, he's not out of the clip yet. I'll pop him out of the clip. Just like that. There we go. Fish on. That's a good tip. Put that to use down the road. Hopefully I can land this fish. We'll see. Woo! He's got me buried right now. Just pedaling enough to keep forward momentum, keep this other line up off the bottom and keep this guy out here where I need him to be. Ooh, he ran at the downrigger cable. Twice. Ooh, he's pulling drag now. That's a nice fish. Tired, but I'm trying to get him in the right position. Whoa! Look at that slug. Wow! Man, look at that fantastic trout. These fish are going to eat great. They're going to have bright red meat. Look at that square tail. That is just a hefty, chunky High Sierra rainbow. And what a fight. What a determined battle. Just a blessing to catch. Do you want to experience maximum success when it comes to trout trolling? If you do, integrate trolling flies into your arsenal. Go on over to fishhuntshoot.com and pick up one of Kel Kellogg's signature series trolling fly kits today, and you'll be yelling "Fish on" tomorrow. Howdy guys, Kel Kellogg here. I'm back up at Sugar Pine Reservoir, and the water temperature is 45 degrees on top. Pretty cold. I know there's trout up on top. Actually, I caught trout in this bay the last time I was here, and they were, you know, 8 to 10 feet deep. Today, I'm running a downrigger. Ordinarily, I'd be using my lead core, but today I'm running a downrigger because I had a request on the channel to go over some downrigger fishing tactics, and so I opted today to throw on the downrigger and run with that. Now, of course, there's advantages and there's disadvantages to using a downrigger. Disadvantage number one, especially out of a kayak, I've got to monkey around with the unit. I've got to lower it down. I've got to reel it up. Not a big deal when I think I've got it down about 8 feet right now. Not a big deal when I have to reel it up 8 feet, but if I had to reel it up 20 feet, that's a good deal of cranking. The thing's only got a tiny spool on it. And I have to either lean out, which I don't like to do, or I've got to use a hook like this to grab the downrigger clip, pull it to me to hook it on the line. All very doable, very simple stuff. But you know me, I like to, you know, maximum time in the water. Contrast all that drama with my lead core rod. I kick the reel out of gear, get the line in the water. I put out however many colors I think is necessary, and you know, backing to get down to the fish. In this case, I would just be running 2 colors, and close the reel, put it in the rod holder, and you're fishing. So when the fish are shallow, the lead core definitely has the advantage for me because of its simplicity and its ability to keep me in the game, to keep my lures in the water with, you know, minimum amount of hassle and fooling around with equipment. Disadvantage number 2, as I said, last time I was in this bay, I caught 2 fish, but I also had 5 very light strikes that didn't hook up. But I knew there were fish there. I knew there was a volume of fish in there, and I knew they were hitting. They were a little lethargic, but they were hitting. I can tell on the downrigger if I hook a fish and it doesn't pop it out of the clip, I'm going to get some action like that. But I don't really see, if a fish comes up and hits that spoon and doesn't get hooked, I'm probably not going to know it. And, you know, information, intelligence is power when you're on the water, and I'd really like to know if that spoon's getting whacked or hit lightly. And that becomes very important if you're trolling something like a fly. If the fish are running up and grabbing the tail of the fly and I'm seeing a whack on my lead core rod, there's some things I can do. I can downsize. I can rig up a treble hook stinger on that fly and hook some of those fish. But I just don't get that kind of information when I'm running a downrigger. Now, advantages. I can see on my fish finder screen that downrigger ball, it's making a nice solid line. I know exactly where my gear's at in reference to the fish. That's important when the fish are deeper. Now let's say we're at Shasta and it's spring and we're fishing down 40 feet. The only way I'm really going to get to those fish is using my downrigger, and I'm going to have a reference right on the screen where my ball and my gear is in reference to those fish. So, you know, fish just rolled up here. So, you know, you kind of got to weigh the advantages and disadvantages for yourself and decide what you're going to run. I don't like to limit myself. I always have a downrigger up in the forward hatch of the kayak, but I always have lead core rods on board too. If I can get away with using the lead core rods, that's my number one choice, either top lining or running a lead core rod. But when I have to, I will not hesitate to break out the downrigger or, you know, in some cases, dipsy divers, you know, depending on where I'm at and what I'm targeting and how deep I have to get. So a downrigger, it's a necessary tool, but I think a lot of guys are over reliant on downriggers, and I think that's a mistake. A lot of guys figure, you know, they invented the downrigger, so lead core has no more utility, and that's simply not true. If the fish are in the top 30 feet of the water column, I guarantee you I can keep my lure in the strike zone more time when I'm using lead core line, and I can gather more information when I'm trolling by using the lead core, you know, setup. I can also do things like manipulate a lure, manipulate a bait. If I'm rolling worms and I see some tap, tap, tap action, if I'm on a power boat, I can manipulate the rod. If I'm in the kayak and I see that, I could get off the pedals, or I can speed up on the pedals, things like that. But it all starts with the ability to see what's going on at the lure, you know, things beyond, yes, I've hooked a fish. Well, that's good to know. But you get a lot of hits, a lot of bumps, a lot of things happen when you're trolling that you can take advantage of if you know they're happening. If you're trolling for browns or even big rainbows, you're on structure, you're trolling a fly or a rapala or something like that, and you think it's in the zone, may have a fish on there, you think it's on the zone, you can manipulate a lead core rod. Now, one other disadvantage I don't like about my particular downrigger setup on the kayak is I have a 4-pound round weight, and it oscillates a great deal, and it causes my rod to move a great deal. Like right now, I don't think I have a fish on, but I can't really tell because of the oscillation in that ball being transferred up to the rod. Now there's some tricks I can do to see if there's a fish on there. I can go like that, pull on him a little bit, see if he pulls back. Sometimes if you got a fish hooked and you give him some tugs like that on the line, he'll pull back. Another thing you can do is really speed up. But again, I don't have a high level of certainty as to what's going on down there with that ball oscillating. Now I can probably tame that down a little bit. I've been looking for one. I want a 4-pound long weight, but that's something in the future. But anyway, downriggers, they have their place. Lead core, it has its place, and dipsy divers have their place. Choose the best tool for the job, and that's going to put you a long way towards catching a maximum amount of fish. And when you're catching the maximum amount of fish, you're going to catch more bigger fish, and that's what we all really want. We want those big, hard to catch fish. So anyway, that's my take on downriggers and lead core and stuff like that. I'll run it a while longer. I'm going to do my tutorials on the downrigger, but as soon as I'm done with that, my yellow lead core rods coming out, because these fish are shallow. They're up near the top, and I can get at them just fine, very efficiently, with a lead core setup with a hybrid system in the reel. Anyway, I'm Cal Kellogg. I'm signing off. If you're looking for downrigger rods or my iconic yellow lead core rod, go on over to fishhuntshoot.com. We'll hook you up with what you need, and you'll be yelling fish on next time you're out on the water.